Hey, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon to some folks that are joining us virtually. And I'm admitting a couple more folks in. You are in the Health-Based Solutions to Combat Community Violence room. And I want to welcome everyone and thank you for taking the time to join myself and my co-host and partner, Ray Winans. He is the CEO and Chief Strategizing Officer of Detroit Friends and Family. I am Christine Henderson. I am the Senior Manager of our Trauma and Healing Network with Equal Justice USA. I have to do our talk through about who we are and what we do for folks who are just kind of hearing about our organization for the first time. Sorry, I've got stuff popping in front of my screen. Equal Justice USA, we're kind of breaking the cycles of trauma by promoting and strengthening alternative responses to violence. When we succeed, we will transform the justice system from a system of punishment and harm to one of healing, equity, and genuine accountability. And I thank you guys for joining us on our journey as we reimagine justice. As part of our work with Equal Justice USA, we get to work with amazing people who we like to call our healers in the community, who are actually on the ground doing the work. We talk so much about what's going on in the community around violence and, all the problems, right? And sometimes, as we know, there are people on the ground who are doing the work, who are, in the dirt, grinding, trying to support their community, a lot of times with no funding, a lot of times not knowing how to start without resources. And one of the things that we have kind of deemed as a priority with our organization is lifting up those that are doing the work. Point to them. They're experts. They have knowledge, and what they're doing in their community is transforming. And so with that, I'd love to introduce again and pass the mic a little bit to my partner here, Ray Winans, once again from Detroit Friends and Family. Ray, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic, let you kind of do your thing.
Good evening, family. Again, Ray Winans, founder, CEO, and Chief Strategy Officer for Detroit Friends and Family. We actually just launched Detroit Friends and Family last year, just out of the need of having to take an upstream approach to this community issue of violence. Prior to my founding Detroit Friends and Family, I was a co-founder of Detroit Life is Valuable Every Day, which serves as the state's first hospital-based violence intervention program here in the city of Detroit. And then prior to that, was blessed to have my DNA in Operation Ceasefire that was ran by the city in partnership with DPD. And then I also have school-based violence intervention programs in my background. And so I'm here with you guys today. I do have an emergency, so I'm going to jet up out of here about 7:15. We're going to make it worth your time. And so just sit back, relax, and hold on to your seats.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm looking at one screen, and we have our amazing Anita, provided by AMC, who's our tech person in the room today. So thank you, Anita. Anita, is the presentation up in, because
I do have the presentation. Do you want me to share it?
Yes.
Or
yes.
the link? I can put the link in
the presentation, and we'll drop the link for the engagement piece.
Okay.
Awesome.
Just give me a second. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Can everybody see the screen, the presentation?
I can see it.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. You can go ahead, Anita, and slide to the next slide. Awesome. As we have introduced ourselves, Christine Henderson and Ray Winans, we will have contact information at the end. We have the same slide up with our contact information, so you can reach out to us if you have any additional questions after the presentation. You can go ahead, Anita. As always, we love our community of healers, but in this session, you may be triggered. I'm pretty sure some of the stories or some of the visuals that pop up may be a little traumatizing or triggering. So please, this is considered a safe space for all. So if you need to step out, if you need to step away, if you need to shut your screen for a minute, please know that it's okay, and we understand. And I also have a warning prior to any visuals that you may see that may be triggering to give you all the heads up. Go ahead, Anita. So first of all, we'd like to know who's in the room. Anita's gonna drop the presentation link. This should be slide number 3, actually slide number 4. You can actually just click on the page, add a text box, or just type in your name and kind of where you're, what city you're representing. So Ray and I can kind of have an idea of where you're from and who's in the room. So Anita, when you drop the link, there it is. You guys can click on the link and go into slide 4 where you'll see who's in the room, and you can add your names and the cities. I'll admit this person in here. Are folks able to go in?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I thought it was gonna pop up on the screen, y'all.
You got to go in the chat box, Chris.
No, once they start entering their names, it should have popped up on the screen.
No, yeah, but the way, yeah. Somebody, Kelly said it has to be refreshed.
Got it. See, we're trying to be engaged here. Tech is always a little weird here. So maybe we click, Anita, if you click the refresh screen. Oh. All right, well, look, I'm not gonna let tech slow us down. If I'm not seeing it, I guess you guys are putting it, but I'm not seeing it.
Whenever you're in present mode or like the slideshow,
Yeah, it won't show the updated.
is
Got you. Oh, wow. This is
Let me try to reshare.
okay.
Actually, I don't see anything.
It's okay, y'all. Let's just drop in the chat.
I see it now.
You see it?
Yeah.
Okay. We're not gonna let tech slow us down in this room today. I want to know who's here. Thank you guys for being patient. Let us know. We got NYC, we got Connecticut, we got Chicago. Okay, Chicago in the house. West Philly. Okay, I missed a couple. So go up here. California, Oxnard. Okay. Thank you guys. We got to, okay, I see the pop-up, y'all. Okay. Okay, Jason, Lindy, you're upside down, but I see you're Detroit. So Ray, you see there's a Detroit family member in the house. Chicago, California, awesome. Arizona, okay. Pittsburgh, Seattle. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. We got a room full of folks from all over the map. Ray, what you think? What are you seeing here? How you feeling about this?
I think we're rocking and rolling. I told everybody to put their seatbelts on, sit back and relax.
Okay.
Yeah, we got Portland. Okay, yeah. So listen, you want me to tell you something that's interesting?
Got 32 participants right now.
But we got to go out to Portland and visit their Nike stores.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So one of the things that we want to talk about, and feel free to keep updating the list. If you guys can, Anita, if you need to refresh, but definitely we appreciate seeing how many folks are in the room. And I'm pretty sure within your communities itself, you guys are dealing with a lot of issues as to relating to safety, as it's relating to trauma. So our next slide, Anita, we'll kind of focus a little bit on vision, right? A visionary conversation. The vision of safety, of safety in my community, not a safety, a vision of safety in my community. I was going to try this again, since we tried this with dropping who's in the room. We were going to have folks go into the slide and kind of pick one of the boxes, and you can just click in it and just kind of type in what safety looks like to you in your community. And that could be anything from, no police. It could be anything from, my grandma feeling safe. It can be whatever safety looks like to you. We've got a couple of boxes. We're going to try this again with the name drop. If you all can just kind of put it in there so we can kind of see what's floating around. I think we only have a couple of boxes, so the first few that get filled out. And if you want to double up, there's some room, feel free to add as well. And you can adjust, just like anything, you can adjust the size, the text, however you feel. Okay. Okay, no police and overdose prevention sites. We see a lot of that, especially with the new funding that's coming out, Ray. Mm-hmm. Knowing my friends, family, and neighbors are safe and not hurt. Okay, that's great. Hey, if we don't have any boxes you want to drop in, all you got to do is hit enter a text box and just write all over this page. If we fill up the boxes. So feel free just to write what you need. Access to preventative health care for all, community care. Okay. Enough mental health care for all. Exactly. No sanctioned murder and violence. Amen to that. I have worked a long time fighting against the death penalty and in those spaces, and it's very hard work. Joy and laughter in the streets, neighborhood, network of mutual respect and care. Exactly. I remember waking up as a kid, going on Saturdays, and the whole neighborhood is outside, music playing, grills going, that feeling. There was never a fear of violence. Those memories are, I don't think a lot of folks now, young kids in this generation now, can feel the same way in certain places. So it's good to see that. It brings back some housing for all. Yes, Ray.
Ability to be my gender in public with no violence. That's real. Community care, that housing. I'm gonna keep going back to that. No surveillance. Okay.
That's it. How you feeling with what you seeing, Ray? I'm loving this right now.
We got the right group in the room. We ain't got the we got the right people in this room.
Thank you, guys.
They speaking a real love language.
We appreciate this. I'm admitting more folks. I'm loving this. Awesome. Gonna give one more minute. If you feel something in your spirit, go ahead and drop it in there. If there's no more boxes, add a text. You can add a text box and put it wherever.
Wow. They talk about the food insecurities, Chris. Okay, yeah, we cooking with fish grease now, y'all. I just cut my phone off. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, no criminalization based on appearance and poverty, right? We're talking about those stereotypes, right? Okay, here we go. Yeah.
We rolling. I think as a lot of this is popping up, it's interesting because I feel like many of us have had these conversations individually with, some local friends in our work, in our spaces on some of these issues. We're probably tackling those. This meeting is being recorded. Getting some feedback. Sorry about, I don't know where that came from, but we're tackling these issues within the work spaces that we consume. So
Chris, hold on. Let me say this, please. I listen, they just caught my attention with something, sis. Please.
Okay, what's up?
Easy resource access, opportunities for positive youth development, and block parties.
Oh Lord, y'all done started something. Can I? Yes,
Go ahead,
let's.
Chris, finish go. So oh my God. Yeah.
What you guys don't know, and you're about to find out, Ray has an amazing story of the work that he does and why he does the work. And a lot of this, he highlights the importance of just block parties for young people in the neighborhood. Matter of fact, he just had one coming off, and he was sharing what he had to go through to make it happen, and it was successful. So this is great, y'all. I just want everybody to take a minute and just kind of just take a breath and kind of look at what we see in the room. You know, we're all in the same kind of space, free, safe childcare. Oh my God, no criminalization based on appearance and poverty, the access to healthcare, the access to mental care, housing for all, community care, no surveillance, no state sanctioned murder. Thank you guys for this input. And I think sometimes we try to sit back and we're like, we're looking at all this stuff that's happening around us, and it's so much happening around us. It's frustrating. I don't even like to watch the news at this point. And to kind of feel like, man, we have so much work to do. It's heavy, it's hard. But Anita, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about how we can start to address some issues. And Ray is really going to highlight to us how he was able to do this in his community that really has been dealing with violence. So Anita, if you don't mind sliding us. And we'd like to talk a little bit about how violence shows up in our community. Anita, you can go back one slide. And Ray, I'm gonna let you lead this, and we will give folks an opportunity to kind of chime in too.
Okay. So we done with the chat box, Chris? We
Yep.
ready?
You ready?
Okay. How does violence show up in my community? Again, I'm Ray Winans, founder, CEO, and Chief Strategy Officer for Detroit Friends and Family. Can we hit the next slide, please? How does trauma show up for you? Now, listen, Chris talked about earlier. We're going to see some things, y'all, just in full transparency, because we're dealing with this community issue of violence. And so this is the stuff that I have to deal with. And so I believe in telling the truth, nothing watered down, and allowing people who have a curiosity for this issue to be exposed to it. And for the ones that want to help, allow them the space to help. Next slide, please. Experience loss because of violence. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop this in the slide again, Chris, and try, or
hold on. Could we back up a little? I was on mute. You couldn't hear me. I wanted to see if folks could drop in, how does trauma show up for them? Because I know you're going to kind of tie that up with what the youth is telling you as well towards the end. Yep. So if everyone could do the same, we've got some Post-its that's kind of stuck up there on the board. If you can kind of just drop in, you know, when you're in a situation where you're scared, right? When you're in a situation where you're nervous, where you have anxiety, like how does trauma show up for you? Do your hands get sweaty? Do you, oh, wow, it's all jumping up at one time. Here we go. Let's see how trauma shows up for some of the folks in the room today. Sudden tears, tightness in my body. My entire body feels, it's a slow read here. Let me see, I'm gonna jump back to this one. Numbness, isolation. That's right.
Heart race and fight mode, want to isolate risky behavior. Wow, that's real. Difficulty breathing. Okay, blocked throat. Okay, inability to have facial expression shutting down. Wow, that's real.
That is some good stuff here.
Self-medicating. That's real. PTSD is real. We talk about that all the time and how they show up.
Talk a little bit about that too and how it shows up in the community.
Difficult to remember. So blocking difficult things out, right? Like selective memory. Wow, numbness.
Freeze up, chronic pain.
We're gonna do this for about another 30 seconds, y'all. My entire body gets nervous from leg cramps, anxiety. Wow. Sudden tears, tightness in my body. Oh. Freeze up, chronic pain in my hip. Can't eat.
Triggered, too angry to really breathe. Yeah, that happens to me. I have racing. My heart starts racing immediately. I know when I'm getting triggered. Indigestion. Some folks don't realize that there's some serious health issues that come along with it. Your body tries to tell you things, especially in our work, the amount of time that we put into our work as well. Wow, fatigue. Y'all are hitting it. Y'all are hitting it. Y'all are hitting it. Sounds pretty, it sounds a lot like some of the conversations you've been having with some of the young people, Ray.
Yep. We're gonna take about another 5 seconds, y'all. because I
Yeah,
want y'all to get this. And this is good. I hate that I got to get off, Chris, but I got to.
I know, we're gonna
Dang,
get,
I know, but I hate that. Like this is dope.
this is great. Don't worry, y'all.
I know.
Ray, for folks who came in a little late, Ray has a little emergency and has to
Yeah.
step out about 7:15.
Yeah.
And so he's really trying to make sure that he gets the gist of it. So the meat of the conversation. So we're gonna keep the ball rolling here. Hopelessness, shortness of breath, quick and angry responses. I'm just, thank you so much for
Wow.
continuing to add this. This is the kind of stuff that comes up. And here's the thing, you guys are able to identify this and say, this is what I see. There are a lot of people within our communities who cannot identify that they're
For
being,
real.
that trauma is showing up. What are you talking about, Ray?
Exactly. No, that's exactly that. When we've been provided with the tools to be able to identify and be able to express, right? Whether it be through lived experience, age, and or the institutions that we didn't work for, they gave us the opportunity to recognize this thing. But a lot of people in our community is trying to figure out, like, I don't know what's wrong with me, something wrong with me, and I just be tripping. And it's like, no, PTSD is real. They don't have access to healthcare and things like that. So you got folks walking around just unaware of what's going on with them in their body. And we're talking about adverse childhood experience, early menstrual cycles, and all this. So this is like perfect.
This is perfect. Well, what we're going to do, thank you guys, and feel free to continue to, if something pops up, you can always go back in the slide and add it. I would like to memorialize this and share this out with everyone who participated so we could capture this. We're going to go to the next slide because we have one more hands-on, and so I can get Ray to really jump in the gist of this. But how many of folks have experienced loss because of violence? Please click on one of the hearts, drop it on the timeline in the spot in the area in which you fall. There have been folks who have never been affected. There are a lot of folks that have, felt a lot of loss to violence. And you could be someone, hey, it's never affected me directly, but I know of someone. So please just feel free to drop the hearts in the area of the timeline provided to give us an idea. And I think we have way more folks in the room than hearts, but obviously it's just going to give us a good synopsis of where we are in the room. Looks like a lot of the hearts are leaning towards loss to violence. And this is not rare in the community that Ray serves, and he's completely active in and holding down. This is where he has to work. This is the environment that he has to work around. Go ahead,
All day,
Oh, you went on mute.
I say all day, every day.
Okay. Just give 30 more seconds if you want to. Feel free to click on one of the hearts and just kind of place on the timeline where that fits your experience with violence. So it seems as though, Ray, in this room, we do have a lot of folks who have dealt with loss or someone who knows of someone who has dealt with loss. And so let's go ahead and go on to the next slide here. And Ray, I'll let you do what you do best.
So this is interesting. So what you see in this picture is that I got a real tight ecosystem. And so my ecosystem has been intentionally set up to where it includes the hood, right? So I love ghetto babies, the police, the judges, the prosecutors, EMS, like you name it, the hospitals and the universities. And so with my ecosystem, I use my ecosystem as an opportunity to educate. And what we see in this picture is my community safety site. And so the police know that I have a reputation of having the most impacted and the individuals with the highest transformative potential at my site. And so the police sometimes get mad when they can't catch these guys in the streets. And so they actually come up sometimes and try to harass guys in my building because they know the possibility of catching a guy who traditionally would carry a gun and or who have been a victim and or perpetrator traditionally will come and be gravitated to my community safety center. And so in this picture, you had the police come up on this day, actually just to have some conversation after they found out that I was there, right? So they didn't know that I was there. So they popped up on the guys. I walked out and then a conversation actually changed. And so I was intentional about being able to stand in the middle, right, and listen to both sides, go back and forth about the harm that's been done, you know. And so you see little Al Wu, that's the little baby, you know. So we catch them as early as 2 years old because I'm big on fatherhood, and I work with individuals as late age of 70 years old. Some guys just coming home from prison and things like that. But again, we are not law enforcement affiliated, associated. I just have relationships, and I've learned how to work the relationships to keep the community safe. And even going to the mention of the block parties, I use law enforcement as an assignment detail to our block parties that allow them to be involved. And that way we can go on and do our things. And guys be safe and free, and the police that felt involved without being able to press people after they leave the block parties. Next slide, please. So this is a public health approach, right? And so what we have here is like, so again, with my experience working in the schools, the hospitals, the neighborhoods, the juvenile facilities and things like this, traditionally you see like, okay, you may see repeat injuries. You're working with kids and the juveniles, right? And you got a kid in your program, and the next thing you know, you're looking for the kid because I'm big on retention. You're like, man, how did this kid end up being locked back up on my watch, right? I must have failed him and or her. And so we decided to take an upstream approach, right? So I worked with Operation Ceasefire as a violence prevention organization that was affiliated and associated with law enforcement, right? So I learned how to navigate that. It served the purpose, but it wasn't that, right? I did the school-based piece. I did the hospital piece. And so then it hit me. The upstream approach. Ray, you can't sit back and wait on people to get locked up, shot up, and or murdered. Go back to the hood, right? Take it to the block, non-traditional way. You got the bread to do it. Make sure the money hit the folks on the ground, right? In order for this thing to be shifted, because everybody can sit there and clap and celebrate, say, yeah, I helped the kid who got shot 15 times. It's like, did you really help him, right? Or did you just want to be the hero of his story? Too often what we find is folks want to be the heroes of the story instead of the bridge that connect an individual to the proper resources, right? And so next slide, please.
Also, there was a question in the chat, what city? We're talking about Detroit.
Oh, Detroit, yes.
Detroit.
Oh, my apologies. Traumatized community. Next slide, please. So as we get ready, I gotta tell y'all again, tell the truth, nothing watered down. This is what I deal with. To me, this is not gruesome, right? It's troubling, but it's not gruesome. I've seen gruesome. But to some, I'm just it's nasty, right? So, but some people may be like, oh, that ain't nothing, right? So everybody's situation is different, but we gotta let you know. We got a couple slides in a video that we're gonna show you, and then we're gonna talk about this work a little bit deeper. Next slide, please. Or is it the video? So in this situation right here, and Chris, what I'm gonna do for the sake of time, if you don't mind, is I'm gonna tell the story about the young lady, and then we'll show the videos and stuff after I go through all the slides, and then we'll do 2 videos back to back.
Gotcha.
Well, actually, you know what? No, we ain't. I know how to get through this video appropriately. So this 15-year-old girl right here, one day I'm sitting at my community safety center. I deal with predominantly young men. This was just about maybe 2 months ago. Anybody that move in my building, I know, and if I don't know them, I'm really super intentional about making sure I get to know them and their purpose for being there, because I understand the individuals that I deal with and I work with and I keep safe. So I see this little young lady and another young lady, and then the first thing I ask them, what are y'all doing here? They get to talking to me, telling me who they there with, boom. I get to getting their history, find out she's been incarcerated before as a juvenile, right? I mean, she was still a juvenile at the time, but she had been in juvenile. Her mom had just passed. In fact, she was there the day at the building because it was the day of her mother's birthday. And so she was grieving. And so with her being in her grief, I asked her, hey, are you willing? So I tell her about our juvenile justice programs and everything. And I say, listen, I'm working with the young ladies, and I think you got a hell of a testimony. Would you be interested in working with us so you can help other young ladies avoid the pitfalls of the streets. The young lady said, yeah, right? When she said, yeah, the next thing she did was she signed in on my book. When she signed in on my book, she wrote her name and her number down and everything. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I get a call the next day talking about Ray. It was a girl at your building, and the auntie and them dropped her off and said they ain't seen her since. I talked to the auntie. I asked her, you dropped a young girl off? She said, yes. Yeah. So I tell the little girl name and everything. I asked the auntie, hey, did you see all them young men that was out in front of the building? She said, yeah. I said, and you ain't think they come into the building? And I'm not being funny, auntie, but you wasn't supposed to just drop your baby off at 15 years old and have all these guys out here, right? And so I told the auntie, hey, if I hear from her or if she come back up here, I won't tell her that you and I had this conversation. I just call you and let you know so you can come and get your baby because I'm a father. I got to do it. Auntie said, okay, cool. Chris, can you play the video real quick, please?
Yes, sir. Oh, Anita, I think you just got to click it twice. I need to put the audio, Anita. Sorry.
Okay, let's see if this works.
Who shot? We have an update to a story we brought you yesterday. The search for a person who shot and killed a 15-year-old girl on Detroit's west side. Thank you for sticking with us. I'm Brian Abel. Janiyah Brown was shot multiple times. She was found in a stolen car in an alley on Burnett near Livernois and Joy. 7 Action News reporter Kimberly Kreb talked to Janiyah's father, who believes his daughter got caught up with the wrong crowd.
Detroit police say they're still in the early stages of their investigation into finding out who killed 15-year-old Janiyah Brown. And this afternoon, we talked to her dad.
You know, for any young kid, you know, who is running away and just out here right now, you know, just like a very strong message. You know, you get parents at home who care for you and anything, just come home, you know, because it ain't safe out here.
The father of 15-year-old Janiyah Brown, with words he hopes will save another child, a day after his daughter was found dead, shot multiple times on Detroit's west side, right where Jason hugged his mother today, Janiyah's grandmother.
I was kind of explaining, you know, I thought the girl was right here, you know.
Last month, Janiyah's aunt brought her to Berkeley from the Cleveland area because she was falling into the wrong crowd. But just a few days later, family members say Janiyah took a relative's phone and ran away. The phone was disconnected and they reported her missing to Berkeley police, where detectives could tell she was in a bad situation as she used Wi-Fi to post on social media.
As there was certain posts where she was in vehicles, traveling with other people with firearms, flashing guns in front of the camera. Those people were not directly identified at the time. And since then, she's been regularly posting videos, either through bathrooms or different locations all over Metro Detroit.
Detroit police suspect Janiyah played a role in a carjacking Monday night. The car stolen was the same one she was found near yesterday afternoon.
I know she couldn't get away from these people, you know. She ain't do this on her own. She ain't do this. She was forced to do it. She's a kid, she's a child.
So our team of investigators are following down any and all leads related to both the homicide and the carjacking. And we're in the early stages of that. And so any suspects or persons of interest that we identify, we're gonna follow through with them.
Her father just hoping for justice and that his words can help save someone else's child.
You don't know who you meet on Instagram. Just don't do it. Just go home. On your parents.
On Detroit's west side, Kimberly Craig, 7 Action News.
Yeah, so that was very sad. Next slide, please. Go ahead, play this one, please.
Can I set the scene real quick on this one, Ray?
Yep.
As a heads up, y'all, crazy enough, we were actually on the ground, Equal Justice USA was on the ground with Ray, working with him, kind of seeing the work that he's doing to support. And this happened while we were on the ground. Ray was on a FaceTime with his team, getting ready to take us to a site on another emergency issue with some kids who were looking for another kid to kill in the neighborhood.
In the same neighborhood. And
we actually heard gunshots while he was on the FaceTime. And one of the folks was near the area where the shooting occurred and told him, hey, a shooting just happened next to, right near me. And then we were able to find out an hour later that this situation occurred. So someone will get shot and someone will get killed. You won't see that visually, but you will hear the audio. I just wanted to give that warning. Go ahead, Anita.
Okay, we got action. We got action.
I think we lost the audio.
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
What folks are missing? It's okay, Anita.
Anita, go back real quick. Let me see if we can catch
Okay.
that audio.
So to set the context, he was on Facebook talking about another kid, urging him on for an hour and a half as kids jump from one page to the next, warning him, hey, he's talking snap, he's coming to get you, you better stop talking. And he's responding to folks, he ain't gonna do nothing, he ain't gonna show up. This was a teenager. Ray, how old was he?
He was like 18.
18, well, yeah, 18 years old, who came out while he was on Facebook Live taunting him, who actually drove out to the community and shot and killed him. This happened 2 days ago.
Ray, did you want to add anything else?
No, I was saying let it play out real quick.
Okay.
We got action.
So the audio goes out a little.
Well, hold on, it's up. Yep, you can go to the next slide, but before you go to the next slide, let me say this. My reflection in this situation, because this just happened the other day in Ypsilanti. We're doing cross state work and training those folks. I agree with you. You know what? Who was that? Abrina? I agree. Let's take a deep breath, y'all. Thank you for that.
It's disheartening, and the work that Ray has to do, he's dealing in communities where kids are running around with Dracos. I'm a veteran from the military. I'm a veteran from the Army. You know, I was trained with an AK-47, like training just to learn how to shoot. These kids are running around with weapons that we didn't even have in training in the military, and they're upset and they're traumatized and they don't know how to deal with the anger. And what? Go ahead.
Oh no, and they got switches on them.
Yeah, they're going around getting access to weapons, not knowing how to deal with confrontation, not knowing how to cope with trauma. So you have this man who is this older individual taunting these younger individuals who are well known to be, I don't know, Ray, if it was gang affiliated or definitely known in the community to be violent.
Yep, and just in the community, not necessarily a game, but just in a hood, knowing just to be high heads.
And over, because of street cred and ego, this guy's last few words was taunting an 18-year-old who drove to his house while he was on Facebook and took his life. And this is the type of work, the crisis that Ray has to jump in immediately to try to save and avoid. And unfortunately, at that time, this young man, wasn't someone that they were able to help.
But we still got to work. So we still provide services and support for the retaliation prevention too.
Yes.
And so I always ask the question, what justifies killing another person because you're angry? Like there's no justification for it. Next slide, please.
Ashley says so often those weapons are seen as ways to create personal safety, and that's how they see it in the community, right, Ray?
No, they is. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, that's the reality of it, right? Like people do feel safe with their drakes on them, or they 30-round clips and they switches on them. I mean, shit. I ain't gonna lie. When I'm out doing the work and I'm like, and I know I got to be posted on the block, I feel the safest when I got 4-5 guys with Dracos around me legally. Let me be very clear, legally, right? Because of the work, right? And you never know, and then it's just wild, and people risk their lives and put their lives on the line for this work, right? And so a lot of this is preventable. Violence is predictable, so it's preventable. Chris, read the slide for me real quick.
What is hospital-based intervention? Hospital-based intervention Hospital-based violence intervention programs are multidisciplinary programs that identify patients at risk of repeat violent injury and link them with hospital and community-based resources aimed at addressing underlying risk factors for violence.
Thank you for that. So again, I did as a co-founder of the state's first and only hospital-based violence intervention program. There was one thing that I learned to focus on, and it was the recidivism and retention. So this is what, thank you for that, Swoop. So this is what we have to do. And again, like I said, some of this stuff is just my day-to-day. So I don't hide it and I don't sugarcoat it, and I get permission from the individuals that I work with in service to lift up the voice and the faces of the traditional folks that people treat as invisible. So I make the invisible people visible in my line of work. Next slide, please. So this young man right here, this was his third time being shot. First time he got shot, it was a headshot. Second time he got shot in the leg, his femur was broke. Third time, this time he got shot 4 different times. And this was just one of the wounds. And I got some video where you hear him like, man, I'm just tired of being fucking shot, right? Like his brain and the way it's wired through the trauma don't allow him to feel safe no matter what it is. And so when we establish the relationship, because again, retention means relationship in this work to me. When we establish the relationship and he's seeing himself as my son, this individual here in our multidisciplinary approach with our therapists, our psychologists, our licensed master social work, our case managers, even our damn physician, everybody had hands on deck with this one kid and said he most definitely needed the most dosages, right? And what we mean by the most dosages is the most relationship, right? The most touches from all of us, right? Out of over 200 young people that we were servicing, he gravitated and just locked on to me, and it was just like literally hard to get him away and off on his own. Next slide, please.
Feel free to close your screen if you can't watch too much. I definitely want to remind you guys these are a little gruesome.
So this guy was actually shot in the leg, and his leg was blew out, the back of it from the exit wound. And he was 17 years old and had just came home from juvenile, out with some guys, and wasn't listening. Right, I'm gonna just be real. He wasn't listening to his parents. They did the juvenile stint with him, thought that keeping him locked up in juvenile would be okay. It wasn't. He came home, got shot. We was able to use this as a teachable moment. He actually wanted us to take the picture. We showed him the leg. That's when he finally started crying. And he decided to make a decision to do something different. Currently, he's in community college. He graduated high school, and he don't want no parts of the street. So Bullet got him together. Unfortunately, we don't get to service the dead. So, you know, traditionally we talk about these homicides. We're lifting up the survivors. Next slide, please.
And when you talk about teachable moment, Ray, you're talking about the opportunity when they are probably at one of the lowest, the scariest, right? Situations, yeah. Right?
It is. And so I don't believe in scared straight programs. And so even with doing this work, I recognize that the police, the hospital surgeons, everybody else is going to try to scare the babies, right? And so for me, I just come in to bring a solid relationship and let them know that I ain't them. I'm here to listen to you, not talk at you. Whether it's man, aunt, or woman, or child. I don't want to talk at you. I don't want to tell you what happened to you because you already know what happened to you. You know what got this. You know what your situation is better than I do. I don't want to know the details. I'm not here to ask you, who shot you or what happened. I'm simply here to ask you, are you okay? And what can I do to support you on this journey? Because acute stress is going to set in, right? And it's going to lie dormant. If it's not addressed, you're going to have acute stress. for 45 days. Then that thing gonna transition to PTSD. As soon as you hear that, you're gonna get scared. Fireworks gonna set you off. You ain't gonna be able to sleep at night, right? You're gonna constantly replay. You're gonna self-medicate, right? It's gonna be a whole lot of things. If you got a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you've been violently injured, it's gonna bring out, like in a real way, things that you ain't even know you had in you, because that toxic stress is real. Your body is full of toxic stress once you've been violently injured, intentionally assaulted, stabbed, and or shot, right? And so it becomes the norm. And we all have been guilty of it at some point or another. If you're from the ghetto, well, we know somebody that been shot. If you out in them streets, one of your homies that got shot, and then you be like, oh boy, you ain't did nothing, man. That wasn't nothing but a leg shot. Boy, you gonna be all right. We had a homie who got shot, and we used to think it was funny to throw firecrackers by him because his ass would take off and run and scream. We didn't understand on the block what PTSD was at the time. So once we got properly educated, we had to take this information back to the block and educate people and let them know, man, these early adverse childhood experiences is real. The way the brain developed and epigenetics is real. And so like we took the information and took it back to the block, to where most people in the institutions don't have access to. They just want to research it with no understanding and just solve it for their personal and or professional curiosity.
Yeah. And I didn't mean to interrupt Ray, but I was actually with Ray with one of his violent interventionists that works with him, and he shared he said, thanks, Ray. He, in front of me, thank you for helping us identify that this is trauma. He goes, we running around in the streets and we're dealing with all of this, and we didn't even know that this was affecting us. And he was just so happy that someone told him, it directed him into paying attention to some of the signs and triggers that he was feeling when he was dealing with things within the community.
Yeah, no, this is real. Next, oh wow. Okay, Miss Morgan, I see you, and I just read your message. Appreciate you, and most definitely, yeah, thank you for that, for sharing. Thank you for sharing. That's a different level of vulnerability. Thank you. Next slide, real quick. So, identify the need and become the resource. So y'all see these guys up here, right? So going to the next slide well, I ain't gotta go into the next slide. I trust there ain't no police on here. So listen, these guys, so here's what I do. And my ecosystem is so, I call it sweet, back from like the old school days. I got a sweet ecosystem. So the police tell me, Biltmore Boys band crew, key players. Biltmore band crew, key players, right? So the police telling me, these the key players. They doing a presentation on figuring out how they gonna roll out a RICO or indict these guys, right? So when they rolling it out, talking about how they gonna target these guys, guess who became my target? All these guys, right? And so out of these guys, I don't know, can y'all see my arrow? Can you see my arrow moving, Chris?
I can't see your arrow moving.
Okay, so.
Oh, there it is.
You see it?
Not anymore. I don't, maybe it wasn't you.
Okay, so don't worry about it. But what I did was ask them who was the highest impact player, who was the leader. They identified the leader, and then I started my work because I know the streets. And so for me to blow down on some youngins and tell them like, look, nephew, I need to holler at you, bruh. You about to go down if you don't come here and let me holler at you. When I get to talking to them and I get to telling them real facts about them, but I lead with the question, have you ever seen me before? Say, no, man, I ain't the police, can't be the police. But I came with some information that the police is coming for your ass, man. And so here's what we gonna do. We gonna put together a very comprehensive strategy to prevent you from going to the penitentiary. We gonna sit down and we gonna make your mama proud of you. We gonna make your kids proud of you. And so now we making this eye contact on a block. When we making this eye contact on the block, it looked totally different because I'm not showing up with an entourage. It's just me. And it may be an entourage of young guys with their Dracos, their vest and everything. And some of them trying to look at me like, who is you? But when they get to hear me, they're like, man, Unky ain't tripping. He being real with us. Especially when the police, they know that what they doing. And I'm telling them, man, y'all shot The police think y'all shot some nigga house up, bruh, over here, and y'all did X, Y, and Z. And they looking at me like, how he know that? I ain't the police, man. But if I know this, then they know me and the police know it. If y'all know it to be true, y'all really need to come with me. Well, guess what? They always come. So out of all these pictures, I was able to get 7 of these guys in our ecosystem and only lost 3 of the guys before I was able to get to them. You know, so like this thing is real. And so when Chris put in there, identify the need and become the resource, it's all human relationships. It don't take money to get the work done. Money make it easier, but it don't take money, right? It's ministry. It's being treating people decent. So in this bottom picture, this is a squad from Ipsy, and my youngest guy, one of my young guys, Kenny B. Kenny B is my chief people person. Kenny is an honest man. He come from the hood. He was one of the biggest scammers in the hood, right? But he decided to go on this journey with me and save lives. And so it's like when you take the folks that's been invisible for a long time and you let them know that they are visible to you and that you got more visibility opportunities for them, they damn near guaranteed to follow. Next slide, because I'm about to get ready to get up out of here. Y'all, they keep calling me and texting me and stuff. Real quick, let this video play. I want to share this about Pastor Barry real quick.
This sets up the ecosystem that they're creating within their community. Thank you guys for participating, and we are keeping an eye on the chat. Thank you so much for your feedback and the information that you're sharing. Please remember to take time, if you need to walk away, close your screen, feel free to do so. I think you just have to double click it.
Yeah.
Is it acting up?
Let me try to. Should we come back to this? Because it was playing. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So in the nutshell, what we was doing is Chris and them was here on the ground visiting me in Detroit. And as we were having, we pull up on my man, Pastor Barry. He the hood pastor. Every hood got one. He don't own the car. He live in the church. I ain't gonna say everybody. I hope every hood got one.
It's
He don't.
And always one of our buildings, goes to on that building, that new construction right there. That's us too.
Don't worry about it because we're gonna spend a lot of time on it. But they did a landlocked deal, and so they don't worry about gentrification. And so he got a solid framework.
It goes down for 2 blocks, and we own every house on the block for both sides of the street for 2 blocks. Then we own every vacant lot.
What was that saying? Building cooperative. Yeah, okay. See, we got this. You can stop this video. Stop this video, please. Yeah, somebody from the D or somebody from somewhere know Pastor Barry because they say Pastor Barry name in here. So Pastor Barry is my guy, and he is the real deal. Whoever building cooperatively is, he the real deal. And so thank you for that validation and that vetting. So Pastor Barry, he a radical preacher. These the folks that I keep in my ecosystem, because if you're gonna be out here doing this work, I believe you always got to have a pastor that you're paying tithes to, just in case them people ever try to set you up. You get your church to vouch for you and come and protest if you need them to. And so Pastor Barry is my ghetto pastor, but he teaching us through example on how to land lock, right? How to lock up the land in our community so we ain't got to worry about gentrification. And he's not stingy with the model. He's not stingy with his information. He's not stingy with his resources, and he's not stingy with his time or his patience. So you need guys like this in your Rolodex. Next slide, please, and I'm gonna get up out of here. Family discussion time. So Chris, here's what I can do because I'm already 15 minutes late. If we can hammer something out on family discussion for 6 minutes so I can get up off of here at about 7:35, I still be able to justify my lateness. So if we want to ask family discussion is our Q&A. Before I leave, if anybody got any questions, comments, or any pressing things that you need to ask me before I get up out of here, feel free to drop it in the chat. We'll respond over the next few.
They could pop up and ask the questions too. You can come off mute if you'd like. Ask.
Oh
your
yeah, yeah. If you want to, yeah, any of that. So if not, I'm gonna take it as y'all enjoyed the presentation, and thank you again, Chris, for your partnership. And so I'm gonna shut up and see if we got any questions, and if not, I'm gonna log out and get up out of here.
As for folks who came in a little late, Ray had an emergency pop up. He was supposed to slide out at about 7:15, unfortunately, but he has hung in with us. So thank you, Ray, for that. Do we have
Hold on,
anyone?
yeah, I got a question. I got it. Yeah. So
Oh,
when you talk about the first hospital, it all depends because each situation is different. However, I tell people if you're gonna deal with hospital-based work, base it off the CDC social ecological model framework, to where you deal with the individual, society at the whole. So I always deal with the parents and or the grandparents or whoever the matriarch or the patriarch is while that individual's in surgery. So then by the time they come out of surgery, the families have already vetted me and gave that individual a green light to work with a complete stranger. But I always start off, what can I do to help you? Have you had any water? Have you had any food? Do you need to be in a quiet space? Just the common courtesies, get the family. I mean, come on, we're talking about human beings. So if you show a person decency, they know your spirit. If you got a good spirit, they rocking with you. When I refer to the cops and prosecutors part of your ecosystem, what is their role? A source of info, or does the information go both ways? Hell no. Information go one way, right? And the information go like this. You tell me who it is that's disrupting our community, and I'm gonna go into my Rolodex to try to get them. The only way the information goes two ways. If you get the individual and then they get caught up and then you go to court to represent them, letting them know that they're in my program. Or if you got a judge, and or I tell people all the time, don't never trust the police, but make sure that they can trust you. If you trust the police, you're guaranteed to lose. But if you put yourself in a position to where they can trust you to never sell your people out, but do the right thing and stand on business, you go a long way. I don't have no problems with the police. And when the police do give me problems, I call rank and file to shut it down, because they know that's Ray. Ray gonna be Ray. Ray got them young people, and Ray risking his life. And Ray gonna cuss everybody out if y'all get in my way. So anytime that the prosecutors and them come to me, it's because they looking for a solution, right? I ain't never giving them no information. If I gave them information, I wouldn't be able to do the work. If you give up information, your program is over.
that goes right back to the credible messenger. And Ray is a credible messenger within his community, the respect he has as being OG, right? For the kids knowing that he went through something. He did have to serve some time, and he's back in the community trying to lift up and help folks. So there's already that kind of sense of like, okay, we'll listen, but that trust Ray has to continue to build. So Ray, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
But you nailed it. And I think one of the things it got to be is just take care of your people. The unique part about what I did in the city of Detroit, and like I said, I'm gonna log off in like 2 minutes, is that I actually I'm 3-generation project baby, and I made it up out the projects to the east side, and then to the east side to the burbs. And so when the hood thought I made it, I rocked their world and came back to the D and came back to my hood, bought property in my hood, and then put my people on in a real way, right? And so my hood seen and witnessed and experienced and felt the impact of $1.7 million in cash being navigated straight into their pockets, right? And so they like, Ray, you the Jay-Z of the hood. So imagine that type of power and influence, and the police and the prosecutors and them knowing, and the city officials know you got that type of power. You got to use your influence and organize and command everything. I don't ask for nothing. I don't demand nothing. I command everything, including the room when I walk in. That's just the way it got to be. I ain't at nobody's table. I built my own table. If I sit at your table, I got table manners, but I'm not asking for no food. That's the way it has to be. But it's a price that come with this too, y'all, right? When you decide to take that approach, a lot of times the right people will close the doors because they ain't supposed to be a part of your mission anyway, and they try to stall you out. But and when I say the right people ain't supposed to. When I say right, it's because these people don't believe in, right? I don't do this to prove people who don't believe in me to be wrong. The people who believe in me, I prove them to be right. You got a right to believe in me because I'm gonna always stand on the business for my people. You never compromise your integrity and or your moral compass. If your moral compass, if you're not in touch with your moral compass in this work, you're not gonna last long in this work, and your programs and anything you set out to do is gonna be dismantled, because the streets gonna dismantle what's inconsistent, as well as the institutions and the police. Once they see that you got a price, everybody is gonna buy you. So therefore, nobody values you because everybody got access to the same product.
We got one more question, Ray. I know you got to go, from Sony, wondering about thoughts of how to do your work with systems of intervention via hospital or otherwise, and still maintain credible messengership.
See, and I'm gonna be real with you, Sonny. I don't consider myself, and I respect, like Chris, that's my sister. So that's why I let her use the word credible messenger. But I'm not a credible messenger, right? Like, I understand what a credible messenger is, but I got a license to operate in my hoods. Meaning I ain't never told on nobody. I ain't never did nothing unorthodox or immoral to my people and or the systems. And so with the systems, I stand on the business of my people based off I'm their voice. I done been stabbed. My daddy done been murdered, right? These pictures and stuff that I got on my walls and stuff like that, these my family members. So I'm not gonna never compromise. I've been dealing with murder since I was 9 years old. I'm 43 years old. I've been dealing with shootings. These two little guys on that picture, they're my little cousins. I did their funeral. They got killed in our hood, right? That was the first time I had to do a double casket. So I never compromised. And the thing is, when you don't compromise, it's no different. Let me compare this. I'm the Draymond Green of the work. Draymond Green just got a good deal. Draymond Green is worth his weight in gold. Draymond Green don't compromise, and Draymond Green focus on his strategies. Now, I'm not Draymond Green, but sometimes I get that. It's like, man, there go Ray. Yes, I'm going to act the butt when it comes to these baby and these women not being safe, right? And so now I got a new strategy, y'all, and I'm going to share this with y'all, and then I'm gone for real. So me and my team just put together a very comprehensive strategy for rapid response. So I'm about to employ some guys, and Chris met my videographer. The only thing we doing is responding to shootings and homicides as soon as we get the information. And we doing press releases. And so we organizing the family of the survivors and or the ones that's been murdered. And we putting faces with the names, and then we got a list of elected officials that's holding up ARPA money. And every time a shooting and or stabbing or murder happen, we calling out the elected officials by name and saying, this could have been prevented because y'all got a check and y'all got a check in a woman's purse. If you got a check in a woman's purse, you know that check is good. All you got to do is cash it. Cash it and hand it over to the people. But since y'all don't want to cash that check and give it to the people gonna call out y'all names, name by name, and say y'all got blood on y'all hands because y'all bullshitting and y'all ain't releasing the funds. We doing that with every shooting and every homicide in the city starting in August. So I already talked to my funders. I told them we need about 300,000, and we're gonna ramp this thing up for 6 months. I know that our political officials, they can't handle pressure for 90 days. 6 months gonna break the bank.
That's it. It's all about strategy, right? Knowing what your community needs, coming together and figuring out what you need to do. And with the work that Ray is doing within the community, there's no time to wait. They can't sit up there arguing with folks for ARPA funds. We're seeing that a lot. We all know that the violence prevention money is coming down. You got folks who've never done the work jumping in saying that that's the work they're doing. You got some cities, folks haven't received any of the funding. We know how sometimes things work. The money trickles down to the same folks every single time who have favor, who have relationships, for folks who don't understand the work that we do in the community. So it's very important, y'all, to be focused on the funding that can fund the work.
Yeah. So listen, I thank y'all. This was great. Chris, thank you. Keep me updated. Let me know if we got anything. And let's put everybody in a network, Chris.
I'm loving it. We've got everybody's information. Actually, I know you got to drop off. I might hold folks for just a few more minutes. I know we're supposed to go till 8. I definitely want to make sure that we give Ray, we love you. We want to thank you. All right, we have Ray's information on the final slide. So if you guys want to reach out to Ray via email to ask any additional questions, we can make sure that happens. Once again, Ray Winans is one of my amazing healers in our trauma and healing network of Eco Justice USA. When I tell y'all I love my job, y'all. I love what I do because it's so many times we keep saying the talking points of who's doing the work and what's needed to do the work. I get to actually go out in the community with folks like Ray. Our network holds, we have 30 network organizations of healers that's spread across, like we have folks in Baton Rouge, Newark, New Jersey, Cali, Troy, Ray himself, an OG, ex-blood. When he was about 16, I believe he took a person's life in a fight, beat the man to death, defending himself, charged as a juvenile, luckily, and not as an adult, did his time. But while he was doing his time, he learned about trauma. He learned that he was traumatized. He went through a cycle where he educated himself and realized, oh, wow, when I saw my dad, my dad was killed. I saw my best friend get killed in front of me. I saw someone else get killed. I was in a gang. I was fighting. I was this. I started a gang in my hood. And that's Ray's story, to be able to kind of go and figure out what trauma is, how it affected him, and realizing, as he likes to call himself, I'm a ghetto baby. Because I think sometimes when we're in these spaces, we all know that they seem to always put our group as one. We're a monolith when it's all Black folk, all this. And we know too that when we're trying to reach people, there are certain people that are in different spaces, right? I had a slide that I took out because with time, but there was a slide I was going to ask you guys to drop in the slide. What organizations you guys have that's working with young people, that's doing mentorship. A lot of the times we hear the same groups, right? The NAACP youth, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. These are great organizations and we love and support, but the youth that Ray's working with, you're never going to see them in them spaces. They're not going to show up in those rooms. Those kids, as he likes to refer as ghetto babies, who are living in a world where it's always been harmful, where some of them have become numb, right? The fact that young people are running around with Dracos, 13, 14, 15 years old in a neighborhood, not hiding the fact that they got Dracos, looking for someone and not even afraid. There's a difference. Ray referred to one of the young man, I forgot his name, I apologize, that was in one of the pictures, his violence interventionist. I was with him 2 days ago and he shared with me, he was like, I grew up in this life. We're not afraid to die, because that's how we were raised. Some of us, our parents weren't in the house. Some of our parents were on drugs. Some of our parents were locked up. And so when you have folks, kids who you walk in community, you tell them you got hope, and they're looking around, everything around them don't look like there's hope. There's some people are not the best messengers. And I know Ray doesn't like credible messengers, and I understand, I respect that. But as we see it in this work, that's what he is. Someone who harmed his community, but turned around and decided to heal it. And so this work is very important. Our healers are very important. What you do is important. I also want to make sure that I push out this self-care goes beyond anything you understand, because if you're not healed, y'all, it's going to be hard for us to continue to do this work. So I want to encourage you to sometimes close the laptop, sometimes turn off the phone. Don't put it on vibrate because you're going to hear it. Turn off the phone and breathe. Walk away. I'm not saying stop the work, but in that moment, we have to be who we need to be to show up for everybody else. So I want to encourage self-care. I want to encourage you to take some time and play a song, breathe, relax, shut it down for the weekend. I'm not checking emails today. I'm not following up today. I mean, obviously, if you're in a crisis situation, you do crisis work, I will tell you not to jump in, but I want you all to realize that the work will be here tomorrow. I know, because I've been doing the work for a long, long time. And I know many of you in this space have also done the same. And I know I'm running my mouth since Ray has left, and I do want to take a moment to just fall back and just leave it space if anyone wants to give any additional feedback, if anyone wants to share anything, if anyone has any additional questions, please feel free to do so. I see a hand, Carrie, and Anita, I'm sometimes having issues with the screen, so feel free, if you see anyone, you can call them out as well.
Sure thing.
Thanks, Carrie.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I came in a little late, but the conversation was very insightful, and I have lost people to violence, including my brother. So I think these are conversations that we need to have. Um, I don't know, I just wanted to add something. Like I work with Step Up Women's Network, and they're an organization to keep young women in the hood and outside the hood in STEM. I'm in the STEM field myself. And I'm gonna drop some resources because we need to have these conversations. You mentioned something that stuck with me, and it was like rest, sometimes turned off because urgency is a trauma response.
Yes.
It's a fight or flight. It's like I always have to do something. I always have to respond. I'm always alert, and that's trauma.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Anita, for this work that you're doing. Digo, Christine and Ray too, even though he left us, because we need to have these conversations. So
Yeah.
I would love to stay in touch for sure.
For sure. Carrie, thank you for sharing that. You guys, the screen is up. You have my email. You also have Ray's email. I would just like to push. Let me tell you, one of the things that I do within my work and I love doing is healing spaces. Not only do I do them virtually, I'm so annoyed with virtual because sometimes you could just feel somebody just needs a hug, but I'm able to get on the ground with some of the folks that we support. Hey, I'm coming, which is what I did. Ray, I'll be in Detroit. What's up? I want to see what you guys are doing. Where are you guys? Do you guys need a healing space? Yo, Chris, we need folks. Come on down. Let's eat together. Let's bake some bread. We was able to cook some food. We ate together. We created a space. Let me tell you, the young people in that space, they took me to a whole nother level I couldn't even understand. And I'm getting emotional because I'm remembering the words. And you hearing young people tell you, like, I'm used to these gunshots. One of the men in the space, a bullet fell out of his back the day before. We literally in a house preparing for what we need to do. A bullet falls out of his back because he got shot the week before. His response was laughter. That's how he dealt with his trauma. And he laughed because it wasn't the first time he got shot. He was just happy the bullet came out because he didn't go to the hospital because he didn't want to go to the hospital. He didn't trust it. And this is the society that we're living in. And it's so important. It's so important. It's our duty. We can't change the world at the snap of our fingers. We know it because we're in this work. We know how hard it is. But I think what we can do is always try to create a space of healing. It don't take nothing, y'all, to jump on a Zoom and say, hey, y'all, we've been working hard this week. Let's chat for 30 minutes. Let's chat for an hour. There's a group you're working with. If you have the opportunity, if you have the availability, drop in and say, let's put a circle, y'all. Let's talk. Look what's happening. I can't even turn on the news without getting triggered. Everything pisses me off, and to the point where it's like, you know what, I have to shut it down. So I know I'm not the only one feeling like this. And when we provide that healing space, it's amazing what comes out of it. So Carrie, thank you for your feedback. But also just important. I know that the healing spaces, I might hold them, but I know what they do for me as well. I can't see, so if there is anyone else that had any feedback or had anything, please feel free to pop up and say anything, or Anita, you can call them out for me. Okay, I do see a question in the chat, Scott. A healing space is just an assembly, right? I've had healing spaces on Zoom. We have some funds within our organizations, just for these spaces. So I'm able to virtually, we schedule a call. Sometimes I have it like on a Wednesday or on a Friday, lunchtime for 2 hours, 12 to 2. If you register, if you sign up, early, you'll get an Uber Eats card, $15. I send you the link the day before the lunch, the day before we have a lunch healing session. Folks get the Uber Eats code. Guess what? Order your Uber, order your lunch, join us and have lunch with us, and let's have a healing session. So easy virtually. Also you can create those spaces just by setting up a call and having folks join in. It could be whatever topic. It could be an issue that's happened, or it could just be like, yo, breathe. What's up? What's going on? In face-to-faces, I love the most. There, obviously at any time, just grab, you can schedule or grab some folks up, put a circle together and just create that space of like, this is for us. We've provided gift bags. If you're gonna have some, you know what? don't nothing cheer up somebody better than telling them, I appreciate you in the moment where they weren't expecting it. I've gone to Walmart, just got some gift bags, some bubble, bubble wash, the little bubble bath stuff you throw in the self-care, right? You want to encourage self-care? Give someone a gift. It might not even cost you more than $10 to put a gift bag together. And, we've brought them flowers and told them we appreciate you. In those moments, the tears that have flowed, what people have shared in those spaces is amazing. So Scott, you can always create a healing space. It's something that can cost nothing, or you can put a little bit of money and it can go a long way. And they're so important for self-care. I think we have 2 participants. And if whoever's raising their, is it?
I'm Tatu. Hi, Christine. Hey, hi. I have a question. So first of all, thank you for your time. Thank you for everything you do. Especially sending love and warmth for organizers like yourself. I am a new kid on the block where organizing healing spaces are concerned. I think providing, facilitating spaces of healing for my people is something I'm really passionate about. So for a new kid on the block, this kind of work, do you have any words of advice or gems or I don't know, any advice that you could have used or something you might have told your younger self while the beginning stages of getting involved in the work that you're in now?
As it relates to the healing space topic where you asked, I will say this, as you're dealing with young people, I always kind of step with the approach, I don't have an agenda with the space, especially with young people. Let me tell you, they can take you to a place. So what I recommend, sometimes an easy game to start the conversation. I like to do something called colors in the room, right? The colors in the room. For instance, I played the civil rights, the Marvin Gaye civil rights video. I know we've all seen that one, that kind of black and white show, the civil rights movement and all that piece. And I played it for a room full of 14, 15, 16-year-olds 2 weeks ago in Baton Rouge. And I said, after they watched that video, I think the video's like 4 minutes, y'all can find it on YouTube. I let them watch it. And then I asked them, how do you feel right now? If you could tell me in colors what you feel right now, let's talk about the colors of the room. That room, and tell me why you picked that color. The conversation moved. It was amazing. The young people talking about, my parents was telling me about this stuff, but we see it now. It's still happening now. The police, the stuff that have the police is still happening now. The politics, the racism. Some of them was like, wow, I didn't realize. And the conversation just rolled to the point where this conversation with just the colors of the room ended with a young man saying, I blame our parents for where we're at right now. Because in my hood, we have to defend ourselves from the generational stuff, right? The retaliation from our parents, from fights and things, shootouts and things that they went through, right? And now we have to deal with it. So just kind of saying, like, things always come up. That's why just creating this space is so important. And I think from that, I have pulled so much other things that I wanted to talk about. Next, things to follow up with, ideas of how they can start to stand up for themselves in terms of addressing things within the community. Hey, here's some topics y'all pulled up in here. Let's talk about policy change. We're seeing some of the same things. So Tatu, when you're in this work, just kind of, as organizers, you learn with experience that you just can't write this stuff up. The room sometimes will take you one left or take you right. So just step in the space, being intentional to know that you want to lift up the space, the room, and their voices, and just kind of roll with the flow. Kiru, is that you again? Is that your hand? I think we'll take you, and I need to take a quick, yep. This probably be the last question unless anyone else has something to say. I think your hand's still up.
I think she asked her question.
Okay, it's just still up. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining, our group today. I hope you guys got a couple of gems. I don't know if you can see me. I get excited. This is the work. I love it. I love y'all. I know how hard it is. I'm grateful for what you do, who you are, who you will be, the people that you are going to turn out, the people you are going to change, the people you're going to help, the people you are going to empower, the people you continue to empower. I love you guys. I get emotional because in these rooms, I see you. Know that I see you. Know that we see you and we think of you and we know how hard this work is, and y'all are game changers. And I love every one of y'all. Enjoy the conference. You guys have our information. Feel free to reach out anytime. I would love to share the additional healers that we've got, because we got them all over the country. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy your 4th of July. Bye, y'all.